we will have James Jr. Roth on the show. He's been a barber for about 7 years up there in Kalamazoo, Michigan. He's an avid keyboard collector. He's a big part of the, oh my gosh, what's the name? The Kzoo Whisker Crew. Wow, good job, Aaron. And he was recently on the Fox TV show Domino Masters as part of Team Bearded Buddies. Our friend James Roth. What's going on, man?
Hey guys.
Hi, greetings, salutations, and thank you for joining us on Talking Beards tonight.
Absolutely. It's good to see you guys.
It is great to see you too. So we got to spend a little bit of time chatting with you before the show, kind of getting the lay of the land and just catching up, and because it's been a while since we've seen each other. And then kind of hearing a little bit about the show and everything. Too long for sure. But kind of hearing a little bit about the show and stuff like that. But for people who don't know you, let's give a little bit of a historical backstory about you and who you are, and then we'll get into the whole journey of how you got into Domino Masters. So big first question, which is, as Aaron said, boy, what a real hard one right off the bat. What got you into the whole beard scene? Like, where did that all stem from, and how did you get involved in the competitive world, and all that stuff?
Well, big loaded question there.
I know it's a tough one. Take your time.
It is. I've had a beard since I was 16 years old. Hated shaving. Everybody in my family was all clean shaven, except for one uncle, who has a beard almost as long as mine. And I think about 8 years ago, when I decided to become a barber, 7-8 years ago, I decided not to shave anymore, like not even to trim my beard down and just let it grow. And I kind of felt like in the beard community and the barber community, there's not a lot of barbers that specialize in beards. So I put my heart and soul into becoming a barber and learning how to work with men's beards and men's grooming. Prior to that, I did 20 something years in credit union world, working with financial software and development and mortgage re-engineering process. Or
that's captivatingly fun.
So much fun. I can't believe you left that world.
I know, man, you're crazy.
Exactly. So, I decided that I didn't want to work in cubicles anymore, and I wanted to do something fun with my life, and barbering was kind of it. And it was, if I would have known what barbering would have been if I was back in my 20s, I probably would have become a barber then, because it was been the best thing I've ever done in my life.
Back then, he was trying to cut hair with an abacus, and it just doesn't work.
People can't even really see how long my beard is.
I mean, who would have ever thought that cutting hair was going to be more fun than being a financial advisor or whatever?
Well, I mean,
exactly.
But I mean, it's the one-on-one that you get with your client and stuff like that, and the friendships you build, and and of course, it's they're coming to you because they trust you with what you're going to be doing to them. And obviously you have an extremely great personality. You're very bubbly, very friendly. So it makes it so much easier to be like, oh my God, this guy's great. I want to sit and talk with him for an hour.
Honestly, you guys have had quite a few barbers on, I'm pretty sure. I've seen a few people in the industry that you guys have interviewed before. Barbering to me is even much more than that. I think, especially the way I run my shop, it's always one-on-one. I don't have 12 people in a waiting room waiting to come in to see me. And the when you said, Scott, you talked about the relationships that you have with clients. It's unreal. I mean, I have laughed with guys, I have cried with guys, I have more personal stories that men have shared with me in the barber chair that really mean a lot to me, you know, and the way that I can touch their lives by sharing myself with them in that time. And it's an amazing place to be. It's a very sacred room to be in, that barber chair with a client and building that trust and that relationship with them. I mean, I wouldn't trade that for anything.
And I believe traditionally back in the later years, like the barber shop was like the men's club. It was the place where the guy could go and feel free to talk. You know, his barber was like almost his like shrink or whatever. Like you go talk to him, you know, and he gives advice and stuff like that. So.
Right. You know, I mean, it was really born out of, you know, barbers were barber surgeons. So they were the doctor, the barber, the dentist. They were everything.
Because that's where the red on the barber pole comes from blood.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's what Jacob Frost says. He says the barbershop is becoming a sacred place again, which is...
And it really is. I mean, I could tell you story after story of guys that, you know, have come in and they've come to me for 2 or 3 years and they're like family to me now, you know. And for instance, you know, I had a guy recently come in, he left, I got a phone call 5 minutes later. He's like, dude, my dog just got chewed up by a pit bull. Ooh. No offense to pit bulls out there, because I like pit bulls too.
Yeah.
But, you know, his dog got chewed up and he's like, dude, I don't have money to put my dog down. And I said, hang 5 minutes. I'm going to run up to the bank. I'm going to take care of this for you. You know? And you know, that guy, I didn't even ask him. He paid me back a week later. I knew he would. I didn't have to question it. But he's like family to me, you know?
Yeah.
And I consider all of my guys that way. There's so much amazing things that happen there. I've seen fathers and sons that were kind of, you know, pushed apart, come together, and I get a note 3 days later. It's like, dude, like, I can't believe I just spent a whole weekend with my boy, and it was because you talked to them.
Barbershops bringing families together.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it's and not just barbershops, but bearding. You know, I mean, I think the beard community in as a whole brings a lot of people together. So
I can absolutely never speak more highly enough about what the bearding community has done for me in my personal life. So I mean, feel that.
For instance, even for me, you know, being in the LGBTQ community, which, you know, people may or may not know, but, you know, being a part of that community and coming into the beard community even, and having that acceptance of this community of men that, you know, and I know there's guys that push the boundaries, blah, 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 but I'd say in general, I know that I can go to a beard comp, be who I am, be myself, you know, I can bring my husband along with me, and nobody's going to bat an eye, and everybody's going to treat us with respect and kindness, just the way we would treat everybody else. I mean,
absolutely. I mean, it shouldn't be any different. It shouldn't even be a question. Who freaking cares? Like,
so I have to get. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that as a little segue into the Domino thing.
Okay.
Because the Team Bearded Buddies, how we became a team. So Jared, the shortest one on our team, he's the 40-year-old. I'm the 50-year-old, and Paul was the 60-year-old.
Nice.
Jared called me up one day. All three of us used to camp together up in northern Pennsylvania at a little campground up there. And so I've known them for years. And Jared and I have talked about dominoes and stuff many times. Well, Jared had gotten a phone call from the producers of the show that said, hey, we saw your video that you posted that was showing on CNN. And
what was the picture?
It was actually a video he did for Christmas with a domino run that actually ran by little bells. Nice. They usually show it at Christmas time on CNN, but it plays like Carol of the Bells or something while this whole domino topple happens. And it says, that's cool. Readings. And so they asked Jared, hey, would you be interested in doing a competition show? So Jared called me and we talked about it because I had experience in dominoes growing up and throughout my life. And I was like, that sounds like a cool opportunity. Let's
Absolutely.
audition for it and see what happens. And so Jared brought Paul in, and Paul does not have as many. Okay, let me say this right. Paul didn't really have any domino experience.
Let's just put it out there. He was a domino rookie. It's fine.
He could play dominoes, but he didn't know the art of stacking dominoes.
Exactly. That's a good way of putting
that.
But he did a great job. So the three of us, it was literally about 9 or 10 months between the time we auditioned for the show, and then it was about 30, 40 days prior to the show. They called us up and said, "Hey, you guys are in, and pack your bags because you're going to LA." And,
how long were you in LA?
Wow, in Louisiana. That's a great place to do a domino show.
Yeah, wrong LA.
Oh, sorry.
No, we flew out. Because this was in the middle of COVID, and so they, flew us out to LA. They picked us up at the airport, brought us to our hotel, pushed us into our room, and we were sequestered for 5 days.
Oh, wow.
Because
you could not even leave your room. Like
I assume they just brought you food and stuff like that.
No, Aaron, they made him starve.
Oh my gosh! Obviously, they didn't starve. Look at him; he's still alive.
Oh,
happy, fat and happy. No, they took really good care of us. I mean, it was a little trying. I don't know if you've ever been stuck in a hotel room for 5 days straight where you can't even go out the door. It was a little daunting. But we had some dominoes in there. We were able to kind of do some creative play, so to speak. Zoom meetings between rooms was quite a common thing. We formed our team, and one of the things we all had was beards. So when they asked us what we wanted to call ourselves, we were online with one of the producer people, and they're like, "Well, you guys are all buddies. You're all bearded, so why not the Bearded Buddies?"
That sounds like a perfect name.
Perfect name. All right. Now, just to kind of step back another step here, but so for anyone who might be watching or whatever, who hasn't seen the show, does not know anything about the show, tell us a little bit about the premise of what the show is, so everyone kind of has an idea of what your involvement was.
You said urine. That was weird, Scott. Why would you say
that? Okay, so I'm gonna blank here. Ask your question.
For those of the people who haven't seen the show or know anything about it, what's the premise of the show? Like, kind of explain a little bit.
The premise of the show was basically done as an arena style event. So they call it an unscripted reality show. And what it is a challenge. So you have 4 teams on 26 by 26 foot platforms, and they give you unlimited amount of dominoes and Rube Goldberg, I want to say, items that you could build with. So we had a whole workroom, whole building, supply, drill presses, saws, you name it. And so basically the premise is you have a set number of hours. You come on stage and you start your build. You get 15 hours. I can't remember if it's 15 or 16 now. But you get the set amount of hours and you build. And, the build, everybody always asks me if the build took place in one chunk of time.
That was my biggest question. So
we were not going to ask you that question.
It's on my list of questions.
It was not over one 15-hour block. It was actually done over multiple days.
1 hour for 15 days, my Lord.
But you have it's very timed. I mean, the timing of it was very, very precise. And it was kind of fun. You're just in this big giant arena that was made inside of a airplane hangar. And you go in, it's kind of exciting. We were literally the first group of teams to compete. Now we were in episode 3, but during filming, we were actually the first group of people to actually see the arena, see the domino rooms, see the whole thing. So we were kind of the guinea pigs of the show.
Well, that was nice of them.
And but
the bearded buddies in, they'll do it.
It was actually really cool, to be able to walk in there, the first team to ever really see, what was going on. And all the behind the scenes stuff. And it's astronomical, the amount of equipment that they put into, one show.
Oh yeah.
And so we you get the 15 hours, they break your time up, they give you, breaks and stuff like that. But they have a person standing there with a, stopwatch. And, after a while, like 2 or 3 hours in, you're in this room and you've got 4 teams on these these platforms are massive. And they're about 4.5 feet off the ground and super solid. You can jump on them. Dominoes aren't going to fall over.
Oh, wow.
So apparently they were like really thick steel plating. And so you're in there and you're building, and then all of a sudden it just gets really quiet. It's almost eerily quiet, You don't see cameras running around. You don't see all this stuff happening. It's just quiet and you're just working, But you don't realize that there's like hundreds and hundreds of cameras all over the building. Up above, down below, just everywhere, and they're always on.
Wow.
So the minute you get on set, you get a mic, and that's the last thing that comes off before you leave. So
it's just constant filming this whole entire time.
Yeah, I mean it is. If you have to, run out to the restroom, you have to stop, talk to, to the producer. Hey, I gotta, and
do they unmic you before you go to the bathroom?
Oh, Aaron would have fun with that.
Wow, that'd be awesome.
Nope. As a matter of fact, like you literally, you almost have to really watch. I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes like your brain says something and it comes out your mouth.
Yep.
You kind of have to stop that.
Oh yeah. Aaron's like that all the time. He's always dumb stuff's coming out of his mouth all the time.
Right.
Pretty much.
It's Aaron.
Yeah.
So you do get into this other mode of you feel like you're in a TV show, but at the same time you don't, because you're just there with them. It's quiet. There's no spinning lights and music going on. And all that kind of stuff is it's almost surreal. You're literally there doing what you do and building your build. And occasionally you'll talk to somebody from another team. You'll have some little banter going back and forth. All of that's real. I mean, every bit of the build process is 100% like what you saw. It's pretty amazing.
Did they encourage y'all to like talk trash to the other team or anything like that, or did they just kind of just let it play out what was going to happen?
Good question. I think because it is what they call an unscripted reality show. Mm-hmm. There isn't any type of we want you to do this or we want you to do that. It's really what you do, and I'd say there were things that would get you talking, or people would come by and say, hey, what do you think about so-and-so over there? And you would, give your 2 cents, mm-hmm. right? So I think sometimes I don't think that they like told you, hey, we want you to talk to these teams.
Right.
It was more like just ask questions, guide them.
To get the ball rolling, and maybe something might happen out of this. We'll grab this sound bite. Yeah.
Right. I think the biggest, and Aaron, I should have told you about this, and I don't know if you can look it up. You might be able to. If you're able to look up or show videos, there's a video on what is it? It's if you look up, do a search on your search engine for Bearded Buddies Domino mm-hmm. Topple. Mm-hmm. There's a video of what happens to my build. I don't know if you're able to pull it up or not, but while you're looking for that, one of the craziest moments of, when you're in this build process and everybody's concentrating and everybody's being really, quiet and thinking about what they're doing and running back and forth between the workroom and that, all of a sudden you just hear it. You hear something go down. And it's the whole room just stops,
Yeah.
It's like everybody on all 4 platforms just stops what they're doing. Everybody looks around. And one of the things you said, Aaron, is like, do you guys end up talking trash to one another? It's a weird thing in the domino community because this is like the first time that people have competed in this.
Okay.
So like there was a cash prize, right? So, you're kind of in it to win it sort of thing. But the domino community, a lot of these people, like even Jared knows other domino artists. I know other domino artists. And, there's never been a competition. So when something goes down from another team, it's not like, yay.
They're disappointed because they wanted to see everybody succeed, kind of deal.
Right. And
That's awesome.
You want them to excel. You want their build to work. And so it's more of like a very cheerful, cheering each other on sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And if you were to talk trash, and I think it happened a few times in the show, I think it was more in a very fun, manner.
Playful banter.
Right. I didn't see, there was a couple teams had some moments, like I know Demond, one of the teams that I think he was in episode 2. He lives up in New York City. Demond got a little sassy with one of the other people on his team, because, you do have to work together. You do have to, like, one person has to do this, one person has to do that. And you have to divvy up these kind of jobs to get the build complete. And I think like he got mad at one of his, other people, and he just basically told him off in front of everybody.
Well, I mean, you got to think like they're all there trying to compete and win money. And when someone else on your team ruins your chances of winning money, you're probably going to be pretty ticked off. Even if like later on, you're like, dang, I shouldn't have snapped at Scott.
Right.
But at the time when Scott knocked over all the dominoes, I was pretty pissed off.
It was an accident, right. Aaron. I didn't mean to do it.
You just cost us a bunch of money, Scott. This is ridiculous.
Oh, there goes that 100,000 right there, man.
Probably ruined Scott.
It. But I mean, so even with my team, we had some moments where Jared, Paul, and I were building, and so like I said, Paul kind of had a less amount of build experience.
Let's give him the easy things.
So exactly. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you saw the topple, but in our topple, the whole build from start through the 1970s field, the big giant field where they fall through one another.
Yeah.
Through that, all of that was my build. All the connecting lines for all of the different what do you call them? The big seams,
right,
in the build. All of the connections were mine. And then my biggest build, which was the big giant treble clef, that was 25 dominoes high.
Ooh.
So it was a huge build. I worked on it for 6.5 hours.
What happened to that big giant treble clef?
So I was building a speed wall, which is a type of domino build that basically walls can fall through another wall, and the wall stays standing. And I got pretty much almost completed with it. And sometimes dominoes have a little burr on the edge of them because they're all really square and flat, and there's special dominoes for this type of building. And put one up, and as soon as I set it up there, I knew it was wobbly. I didn't have time to grab it, and it went.
That was it.
Well, we have a question here, and this relates to what you're talking about here from Jacob Trost. He asks, did they ever put in something like a stopper or a brake system in place while building so it doesn't cause or go catastrophic before the build is done? And then,
absolutely great question. So during the build process, when you're building a build this big, Even, we do this in normal building, is you have gaps that you put, place through. And I don't know if you guys saw it on any of the builds, there were plexiglass walls.
Okay.
Did you see some of those?
Mhm.
So plexiglass walls are used in case if you've got like a field, or like you saw a fall wall where they were stacked up a wall.
Yeah.
They'd all fall down. You would place plexiglass, stoppers along those areas so that dominoes didn't shoot out and start another train prematurely.
All right.
So
That's what you're saying.
throughout the build, so during our 15 hours, you get 15 hours to do your build, and then they give you like 5 or 10 minutes to go in and place all your gaps. So you actually go up and, you talk about, that's like the most nerve-wracking moment, because it's like, it's like setting the mousetrap, right? That it could go off any second, right? And so people are just like, shaking, trying to put put their little domino down, and they're shaking. And it was just, luckily nobody had any topples during that moment.
That's good.
But we place a lot of stop gaps in the build, so even in our build, like when I lost the treble clef, when I lost that, it didn't affect any other build. Now, One Love that Jared built, the ambergris in the middle of our build, the whole middle, if you remember in the show, one side was white and one side was red.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because the whole thing was done and then the inside got toppled.
But they didn't show that.
No, they don't. Huh. It's really weird. I forget. I think it was Paul that knocked that part over.
Freaking Paul.
Gosh, Paul.
We love Paul.
We love him.
He's Paul. He's running around in his little place in Texas now. So, yeah, he's down by you, Scott.
Oh, hey, Paul. I'm waving to him. He lives down the street.
But when that sort of stuff happens, you have a choice. You can either rebuild or you move on.
So when your treble clef fell, was that really that close to the end of y'all's build, or was that an editing thing?
It was really that close.
Dang.
I mean, I'm not kidding. Danica had come out. So we were talking about this earlier. Mm-hmm. When that happened, were you able to find that video?
Yeah, but I couldn't get it I was trying to get it to play, but
oh dang.
I'll see what I can do again.
Because it shows the fall.
The fall. Yeah, so you want to take us through your topple a little bit? So if anybody watched the show, they know that.
And that's what this video has the topple on it. So, but at that moment when I lost the treble clef, I think we had like about 5 hours, till the end, and we still had to do a lot of connecting lines. We had to do triggers and all that kind of stuff. And I just looked at Jared and I was like, I could rebuild it. Danica, like I was going to say, Danica came out when it fell. She actually came out, and it doesn't show like this in the show, but Danica comes out and she goes, everybody clear away. Like she pulled me away to the side and she just looked at me and she goes, I literally just cried.
Dude, my heart was broken.
Halfway through your build.
Yeah, here it is.
You now have 8 hours left until it's time to topple those dominoes.
Let's get
That's
busy.
You guys, bearded buddies.
Part of my section of the build is creating a treble clef speed wall.
It's really and by the way, that's all done at the very end of the show.
And music. So having this element in our build is a really big thing for me.
Making good progress, Jared.
Awesome.
There you go.
Oh. We just had a topple. The bearded buddies just lost their music note.
I was so super proud of that. A solid surface. I thought it was just gonna stick, and the whole musical note toppled. It's gone.
Literally on the verge of like a meltdown.
We don't have time to rebuild it.
I'm just devastated right now.
Well, there
That
you
was-
go.
That was awful. I was so
So-
freaking heartbroken when that happened.
So I gotta say, it like I was telling you earlier, it was a surreal moment because again, so you know how they just showed like them all standing on stage?
Mm-hmm. That's not real, huh?
Well, they're there. They just
But-
weren't there at that particular moment. Okay. So like Danica comes out and she's like, dude, I am literally like, I'm crying right now. And she literally had tears in her eyes. And she gave me a big hug. And she's like, she goes, I don't know if you can rebuild this. I was like, I don't think I can, not in this amount of time. But she was super, super nice. Vern Davis was super, super cool. Steve Price was like, well, you know, maybe if you tried to build it, you know, this way, maybe you could get it done and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it won't be a speed wall, so it won't really topple
Right.
the way I want it to. And, you know, but that moment when I drop and fall back on my back, I closed my eyes and I literally like, I was like, okay, I'm going to open my eyes and there's going to be like 30 people standing around me. Sure enough, like I open my eyes and there's this like 10 cameras, people are running through the arena. Everybody's still just standing there like, you know, like the whole world just fell, right? And I got somebody coming up to me, goes, tell me how you feel right now.
I feel bad.
I look at this dude going,
I'm going
I
to
don't
Disney
wanna-
World.
like,
Yeah,
I
I'm
wanna
pumped.
talk, you know? And so I didn't know what to say. I was like, there's all these people around me. There's cameras on me. I don't know what to say, you know? And it was just, you know, I think because you're in a TV show and yet you're also doing something that's real.
Mm-hmm.
And so for that one moment, you're completely annihilated inside, you know. You've lost your run, you know, you've lost time, you know, you've let your other two teammates down. And how do you save face over that? Well, you know, I didn't feel completely bad because I didn't think I was the one that lost our run, because we had other topples that happened that weren't just my fault. So, you know, Paul,
They just showed yours.
Jared had a topple, you know, they just showed mine.
Yeah.
Drama makes good TV.
Yeah,
That's
so
it.
it's the way they edit it to make you look like you were the one that caused it all.
Right. And it is kind of funny because I've gotten a lot of messages from people on different boards like, you know, I felt so bad for you because you lost the whole run for, you know, for your team. And I'm like, no, I mean, I don't feel like it was just my, you know, my topple that you know, ended our run. I felt like it was a whole bunch of different things.
Mhm.
And, you know, like the Dominerds team, those guys, they had a really major fall in one of their walls. I think you probably remember that, Aaron.
Mhm.
And if you recall, he built it back up in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, he built it back super fast.
Okay, so he first had a wall that was 4 dominoes wide, okay, and what we call a 3D wall. So it's more than one
Mhm.
domino wide. He rebuilt that as a single domino wall, and it was just a regular standard wall, easy to build. I could have built that wall in probably 10 minutes. And so these guys, they build daily. They don't build like once every, you know, couple months, break out the dominoes and build something. They build every day. Him rebuilding that wall was like, he just went, oh, well, I'll just rebuild it like this and be done.
I'll just build a simpler wall.
Right. And
But for someone who doesn't, you know, play with dominoes stuff, they're like, wow, it's crazy. He built it all back, but it wasn't as complex of a wall, but it's still a wall.
Right. And like even Jared on our team, when he built the piece wall,
Mm-hmm.
that was a one domino wall. Probably could have built it a lot faster, in my opinion. But he did a great job on it. But it was one of those things that he was being so careful,
Too careful, maybe.
and we ended up losing more time on build. So it was interesting. It was fun.
One thing that I wanted to know, and we're running short on time, but
Sure.
like how much preparation time did you get for your build? Because obviously, if anyone watched the show, I mean, there's all these crazy contraptions and disco balls and all this stuff. I'm like, how would you all in like a short amount of time be able to construct all this? Surely you had more than just like a day to come.
Oh
up
yeah, I mean,
with, right?
you pre-plan your build. So,
Okay.
I mean, you have about a week and a half or so to start planning your build. And, it would be damn near impossible to have somebody stand there and just go, "Hey, we want you to do this." And
Right.
you just, pull it out of
Do
your,
it.
you know,
Yeah.
Dupa.
Goopa, yeah. So there's a lot of planning that goes into it, but the one thing you never get to do is actually do the build.
Right. You get to talk about the build and draw the build and play with your, handful of dominoes you have in your hotel room.
Which is just about what we had was a handful.
Yeah, until it's game time, you don't actually get to do it. But I mean that at least makes more sense that you had a week and a half or whatever to tell the crew to go buy 14
Right.
disco balls or whatever, you know what I mean?
Exactly, or pull it out of some warehouse somewhere, product factory. And so that I think that was really kind of a nice thing that we had, that we could actually kind of plan out what we were going to do, and then to know that you had everything available to you for your particular build. And I think that the company did an amazing job at doing that for us. But it was certainly exhausting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I imagine. Like mentally draining just doing that, and just like you have to be so focused for so long because if you're not super focused, you might knock over a treble clef or something.
Well, and not only that, when you see these big fields of dominoes,
mm-hmm.
where they the field topples over and it creates a picture or something like that. So just building a field like that where you've got 8,000 or 9,000 dominoes in a field, or 3,000 dominoes or whatever the case may be, mm-hmm. You're using a template, so you can put in, I think it's 15 dominoes.
Okay.
You put it into a template and slide it into place and pull the template out. So you can do that, but it's still nerve-wracking because one domino goes over and you lose hours of work. And that happened quite frequently, not just with us, but with all the teams.
And they just didn't highlight it as much on the show.
Right. They're only going to highlight the big topples. Mm-hmm. I think the girls, the Charlie's Angles, they lost their river, I think, before they actually went on to the show, when they shot it. And filming these things is really a spectacular event.
You said there was hundreds of cameras.
You only have one go, right?
Yeah.
So there's no way that a camera can zoom across, this platform, because one of the rules, nobody is allowed on that platform but the 3 people building.
That makes sense.
No production staff, no production crew, no producers, no anybody. Nobody could go and like it was so bad that like somebody came up one day and kind of sat on the edge of somebody's thing and everybody went nuts, and they weren't even close to anything. It was just, you can't be on.
The rule was don't touch it. So
right. And so before they would film the topple, you would go down with this crew of cameras and you would use a laser pointer and you would take them through the entire thing, right? And while they're doing that, they're like, stop. And we need a camera change here. We need a camera over here. We need a camera over here. okay, go, and you're taking them through this thing with a laser pointer, and then they rehearse that move. So set, everybody goes where they go, and they go, change, and you see all these things going around, and you're just standing there for like, each topple was like about a 3.5 hour process.
Wow.
And you're just standing there, and you're like, you're talking with everybody else, but there's just like this massive thing because they only have one shot. If something happens, they miss it. That's it. So it was really kind of a cool experience to watch that, and I think they did a really good job with it.
I thought it was a really good job. I thought the whole concept of the show was really cool. I mean, I definitely mainly watched it because you were on it, but the rest of the thing was still cool to watch and watch it all.
It was
obviously never watched a TV show about dominoes before, and I probably never will again, but it was, it was cool, and you were on it, so it was definitely worth a watch.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. It's good to be on here, to be quite honest. And
yeah, dude. We were happy to have you, and I reached out to you as soon as you said anything about being on the show. I was like, "Holy crap, we're gonna be on Talking Beards and talk about Domino Masters in here."
I know.
Absolutely.
We'd been discussing it for quite a while once we found out about it, and we're like, "Oh, we got to get him on. We got to get him on." And it's just when was the right time?
I think it would have been really cool if you guys would have built a domino topple.
I'd have been. Let's do it.
I think you guys need to build one that goes through from one screen over to the other.
Oh my gosh.
We can do this.
Like Rube Goldberg,
Oh, we got a pin? Yeah, watch this.
Oh, here we go.
Ready?
Here we go.
I'm ready.
Here we go. There. Oh, look at that. And
we love that trick.
Magic.
Pretty good. That's all we got. All right, James. Thank you for stopping by.
To poke both of you, Great, guys. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you allowing me to share a little bit of my experiences with everybody, and hope you guys have a great evening.
Yeah, we hope you have a great evening too. And
hey, hopefully we'll see you at a beard comp soon.
Any plans on going to any?
I wanted to go to the beard prom thing that they're doing in Ohio, I think.
It's in Pittsburgh, and it's this weekend.
Yeah, and I'm in a show this weekend, so I'm playing keyboards for Xanadu.
Sorry, there it is.
Yep, Xanadu the musical. But I really wanted to go. I'm missing the beard community. It's been way too long, and I'm definitely ready to get back to it. So plus, I've got this awesome beard growing now.
It's growing good, man. I can't wait to see you at an event somewhere.
22 inches.
So see, you got me by 6. So,
but all I need to do now is just shave this off, right?
That's right, and you'll have the best beard style ever.
Most prestigious.
I could go Scott Sakura.
Oh, look at me! I'm Scott Sakura.
Look at me! I'm Scott Sakura. Look at me!
This is a great way to end this interview.
All right, James. Thank you for stopping by, and we'll have you on again.
Man. Absolutely, be good.
All right, we appreciate you. Thanks, man.